Vlog day 961. Good morning. It's a rainy Monday morning, and it's actually kind of nice. It smells good. Have a little bit of rain. Clean out some of the pollution, although it did just go straight up my sleeve, so that didn't feel very good. Sunny Vaughn off this morning, back to London. Sad. It would have been fun to have been able to hang out for a day, but she had to get back to work, and since Monet's gardens aren't open yet, that was her original plan. Made sense to send her off. Today's going to be a riveting day, filled with all sorts of great stuff, like filling out that tax form that I've been meaning to fill out for way too long now, gathering other tax documentation for both American and French taxes, and then hopefully getting caught up on emails and messages and things like that, on which I've fallen behind because it's been a fairly busy few days, very social few days, and I'm feeling like I'm way behind. I got a croissant, because why not live a little? I mean, really. I've been thinking a lot about, well, I've been reflecting on a number of things lately, but one of the things that I've been reflecting on has been my, I guess you could say my video spiritual mentor, Casey Neistat. Vlogging spiritual mentor, whatever. I don't personally know him, so he can't actually be my mentor, but you get what I mean. And he's not alone in why I'm thinking about him, but I've been thinking about him specifically. This smells really good. Basically, after vlogging for, what? I mean, I'm getting close to 1,000 days of vlogging daily, with one break in there between seasons 1 and 2, no break between seasons 2 and 3, which was a huge mistake, by the way. Definitely should have taken a little bit of a break because I've never fully recovered from it. But one of the, you can hear the scaffolding alarm clock that I will get to deal with these guys making noise 5 days a week at like 7:30 in the morning, probably for the whole summer. It's not okay. I have no idea what they're doing, but anyways, that's enough of an aside. After vlogging for, 960 days now, there comes a point where you run into a little bit of an issue, or a couple different issues, and I have a number of different decisions I have to make along the way. What I'm about to say is both true and not true, and that is that it gets hard to know what to say, and you sort of feel like you might have run out of things to say. The reason that's partially true is because it's partially true. That's how it feels sometimes. It's like, well, I don't know what I have left to say. Also, I don't know if it's best to filter coffee while holding it, but whatever. What makes it not very true is that I actually have a lot to say, a lot of things I could talk about, a lot of things I've never talked about, and a lot of things I could be revisiting as well for all the people that have just kind of jumped on board and don't have the time to go back and watch 900 plus vlogs to get caught up. That said, I don't really like repeating myself very much. It's one of the reasons why I'm not, professionally a teacher beyond necessity, because I don't like repeating the same lesson over and over again, although I do like teaching, especially the first time, sometimes the second time. And part of the reason that it doesn't really bother me at all to talk about it right now is because we're in a bit of an awkward limbo, and we have been for a little while, whether or not you've been aware of that fact. And that is that I've been withholding on a number of pieces of content that I'm looking forward to making because I'm in the process of developing the game, and I want to make sure that they can work hand in hand. Which I think is great, but it also means that we're stuck with just very day-to-day stuff with me here in Paris, which can be great, but also can be like today, where it's like, I gotta sit down and just get caught up on stuff. And that's kind of boring. Doing taxes isn't actually boring, it's just stressful and unpleasant. So I think we call it boring, but in reality, it's fairly intellectually stimulating in some ways, just not the ways that you want. And so, you know what I mean. Hold on, let's finish this off. This limbo has been kind of slowly, steadily killing me, not gonna lie. I'm not a huge fan of having to withhold content as much as I hate repeating content as well, and at the same time, it's lost a little bit of my ability to think too terribly linearly or creatively at the same time. By that, what I mean is, like, one of the reasons, for those of you who know, hold on. For those of you that have been watching for some time now, you know that I like to write, that I've written a handful of books, and that science fiction fantasy in so many ways is an area that I would like to be spending a lot of time. I've also entered into this period where, like, the reality is that doing YouTube, making videos, has been far more productive and has been far more beneficial towards my career, both for my writing career and just in general, than writing possibly ever could be, because for those of you that don't know, one of the great myths about writing is that writers make money. They don't. Not much, and the few that do are few and far between. And part of the reason that I'm not writing so much right now is because in focusing on video, like, whenever I was trying to write and vlog, it just tore my brain in half. It was really, really hard to do both. And I'm having a similar experience with the game. Not entirely, because there's certain elements of the game as far as like meeting with people and developing certain elements of it that definitely don't require the same you know, brain energy that writing and vlogging do. But there are other aspects and other elements of it that definitely do. And so that's made it equally challenging. Yeah, and on the other side of it, I just haven't had a break in year and a half or something like that. And even though I do take days to rest along the way, and I do plan on changing the format after the season, I am trying to recognize that that has a huge impact. So the other day when I was a bit hungover and had a rough day of it, it wasn't just that I was a bit hungover. When I woke up, I probably could have handled that okay, but it's also that everything, all of the tiredness, all of the exhaustion catches up to me in any moment that I give it the excuse, and then it just lays me flat, which is, you know, really pleasant. Oh, please be ready. So why does that make me think of Casey? And not just Casey, anybody that's ever tried to vlog daily or just continue to produce content on a consistent basis over the long haul. It's really hard. Not to knock Casey, but one of the things that was disappointing in following him and watching him along the way was this experience of seeing his quality, both the quality and quantity of the content kind of drop off. Like you could see that his heart wasn't really in it anymore. You could see that he was dropping it more and more, and he went from being daily to being kind of sporadic to being rare to being daily sporadic again, and just kind of all over the place. It's hard, I understand it. He has a family, he has a business. This is not a critique of Casey whatsoever, but I just remember the feeling that I had of being disappointed and kind of losing interest and phasing out. And I'm afraid that in this limbo in particular, I might be doing the same thing to some of you, because it's something I've experienced before, and it's something I never want to do. And so that's also one of the reasons that I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit stressed, and sometimes push myself a little bit harder than I should at times to make sure that I'm making something. And not just coffee, because making coffee should count, but it doesn't really count. Similarly, when I was making Into the Nanton, this book, whoa, hey, come back, pillow. This book was originally the world's first real-time fantasy blog. I put it in air quotes because who can actually know for sure 100%, but that's how we build it. And when I was producing this, I was putting out basically a blog post every day for, you know, 7 or 8 months. It came with illustrations, it just kind of evolved online. It was never really edited, it was just whatever kind of came out. We had a real-time adventure as we went. Producing this and staying ahead of this was pretty challenging, even though I had a bit of an outline, and it was a lot easier. I mean, at the end of the day, writing 500 words is a lot less work than doing this right here, but it was a lot of work. And I recognized like that fear that like if I were to lead this into any territory that got particularly boring or I walked myself into a corner, I'd be in a lot of trouble. This is even more challenging because when you're vlogging every day, it's also just part of your life. And if you've got any letdowns, any downtime, any bouts with depression, any hangovers, anything that kind of assails you and interrupts what could be a good flow to an interesting life, yeah, it produces hangups. And then it ties back into yesterday what I was talking about as well, which is where I don't want to lie about my life. I don't want to present a life that's not real, and I don't want to ham it up or gussy it up or whatever verb you have it up to make it into something interesting when really it's not. Like today, what's interesting about today? Not much. I'm listening to the bright music of the Scaffolding Gang. I've got a gray, cloudy, pseudo-rainy day outside, and I've got taxes to do today. And I don't actually feel too bad about that because I've got something to talk about, and it's something I've been thinking about. But I just want you to know that I want to show up every day and make the best video that I can make. It's an unspoken promise that I guess I'm sort of speaking to you right now, but it's an unspoken promise that I've had with my viewership the entire time that I've been making this. And that promise is that I'm going to make the best content I can make every day, and that I'm going to be improving, and that I'm going to be delivering at a standard that I've been aiming for this whole time. For me, anytime I fall short of that standard, whether it's because my microphone's not working or because like my camera fails to record that day or because I just have a hard time getting out of bed that day or anything like that. That to me feels like a small failure. It's not something that holds me back. It's not a chink in my armor, but it does feel like I have dropped the ball that day. And I know that I can drop the ball some. It's just the way that doing this every day works, and it's just the way that being human works. But if I can keep from dropping the ball as much as possible, that would make me happier. And I have set myself a monumental task. The daily vlogging at the level of editing and the delivery that I'm trying to produce every day is Herculean, and I recognize that. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here. I'm just trying to say, out of all of this, I also don't want to try and pat myself on the back by saying like I picked for myself a particular Herculean effort to undertake, or that I'm somehow doing. I'm just trying to clearly communicate that there's a level of struggle involved in all of this, and it's a good struggle. It's a struggle that I've created for myself, and it's one that's helped me to grow and to advance my craft both here and in storytelling in general. It's provided for me in a number of different ways, both emotionally and financially and spiritually, in ways that I never would have guessed were possible. And I'm generally in a really good and a really happy place. I just need to give myself space to find that balance for when I need to take some time, when I need to make a simpler video, and when I need to get other stuff done. Even if that other stuff is just taking a nap, because that is good other stuff as well. I hope this all makes sense. because I think it could probably be a little bit confusing, but in summary, I'm generally very happy, healthy, and whole. I'm doing really well. I definitely have days where I'm struggling more than others just to stay awake, but that's just part of the gig. I just want you to know that I'm trying my best to show up every day and make the best video that I can make for you every day, which is a lot of pressure, and I do try to take that in stride with like, what does life look like, and what are my limits? Obviously I can't film in 4K because I don't have time to do that. I'm limited in my color correction, in my sound editing. There are a number of ways that I'm actually pretty limited. Accepting those limitations, existing within them, and creating the best thing I can for you every day, and trying not to drop the ball because I'm being silly along the way. And that's really important to me. It's really important to me because I feel like the same thing with writing books. You make promises to your readers, and if you don't fulfill those promises, you've broken an unspoken contract. I've made promises through the structure of this vlog, through the stories that I'm telling. I want to make sure that I'm upholding my end of the deal. And thanks for watching. I just genuinely appreciate the fact that you show up at all. So that's really neat. I'm gonna go ahead and eat my tasty croissant now with some of my Canadian jam, and then I gotta get to, you know, paperwork and so forth. I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for another exciting day of, actually tomorrow I will leave the house. Tomorrow I have meetings, and that's the other thing, is it's about to ramp up. Everything's about to ramp up here very soon. So it's coming together. I hate this too. I hate not being able to tell you everything. I wish I could I just want to spill the beans. I just want to go on, but I want to make sure things are actually in place and looking like they're going to actually work before I do, which is, you know, there's just, it's hard. It's a hard line to draw. Okay, we'll end it here. I'll see you tomorrow.